And let me start the sharing of screen. Please let me know once the screen is visible to you all. Is the screen visible? Hello. Is my voice audible and screen visible? Can I get a response for that? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Okay. So, yeah, we were actually discussing about the basic graphical user interface of Power BI. And yesterday we just discussed that it mainly has three views, that is, report view where you can see the report, the table view where you can see the tables, and thirdly, the model view where you can look into the model yourself, how the different tables are joined together. Okay, so today let's again dwell a bit deep into the introduction of Power BI, and also let's try to understand how to get the data into Power BI, and let's also have the introduction to the ETL tool of Power BI named Power Query Editor as well. Okay, now let me just open the new Power BI instance. So this is the new Power BI instance. Okay, and the way to open Power BI is very simple. You just need to go to the start, and there you will find the Power BI if you have installed it in your systems. It's called Power BI Desktop. Just double click on it and it gets opened. Yeah. So yeah. So let's try to understand the workflow that happens in Power BI. Okay. So first of all, the thing that we do in any BI project, as far as the Power BI is concerned, is connect to the data sources. Now, when we say the data sources may be like, let's say, something coming out from the Excel sheet, okay, something coming from the flat file, or maybe it might be some database system, SQL, MySQL, maybe Oracle DB, or IBM DB, okay, or maybe data might be coming from SAP system, okay. So there are more than 100 sources that the Power BI has direct connection with, okay. So that is how to connect with that, and then we transform the data by using the built-in ETL tool within Power BI. It's called Power Query Editor. Okay. And transformation in the sense we alter the data, or basically we clean the data according to how we need it. Okay. And once the transformation of the data is done, we do the data modeling in Power BI Desktop. Okay. And once the data modeling means we connect the tables, okay, together to control. Yes, anyone has any doubt? Any questions anyone has? Okay, fine. So we connect the different tables uh, based on particular schemas. Like, let's say there are star schemas, there are snowflake schemas, okay, and there's also things called as galaxy schemas, okay, and we mention the cardinalities in there. We apply, or basically we control the filter flow directions, okay, and once that is done, we indulge in creating calculated columns and calculated measures, okay. So basically the calculated fields in Power BI, they can be divided into two groups. One is calculated columns and calculated measures, and after that we create the reports and visualizations by developing uh, individual visuals as well as the pages, okay. And once this whole thing is done, we publish, share, and collaborate this with the business end, so that the business end can give the feedback, and based on that you can either rework on that, or either they accept the work that you have done. So this is how the workflow happens as far as the BI project in Power BI is concerned. Okay. Any doubts with respect to this, people? Okay. Fine. Now, as far as getting the data into Power BI is concerned, there are, as I said, number of sources that you can bring data into Power BI from. Okay. So the way to do it is quite simple. Whenever you are in Power BI desktop, at the top there are many tabs. There is File tab, then there is Home tab, Insert tab, Modeling, View, Optimize, and Help tab. Okay. Now under the Home tab, the first thing that you'll notice is this thing, the Get Data tab. Okay. Now, when you look into Get Data icon and when you open that drop down, okay, now you can see already these many data sources are available for connect. And if you find that the data source that you're looking for is not in this list, then what you can do is you can click on more, and then you'll be taken to this new window where you can choose among the data source that you want to connect to. Now let's say uh, you think that this list is quite big and you want to search it. Like let's say for example you want to connect with Azure Synapse Data Lake. Okay, so now you see Azure Synapse Data Lake. So you find it and you just connect with it. Okay, so now let's try to bring some data into it. Okay, and let's try to bring the data from maybe SQL Server. Okay, and SQL Server is a RDBMS. Okay, and if you want to bring the data from any database management system, you need to make sure that this thing, that database management system is running. Okay, so let me look into the SSMS. Okay, so I'll click on SSMS. Okay, so I'll just, okay, now I'll just connect with SSMS. Okay, now this SSMS, I mean, as far as my system is concerned, it has uh, the databases. One is AdventureWorks 2012 and AdventureWorks 2022. Okay, and within this, there are many tables. Okay, if I expand, it has many tables within this database system. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to bring tables from these database systems into Power BI. Okay, so first thing what I want to do is I need to look into SQL Server here. So I'll type SQL Server, yeah, SQL Server database. Okay, and thereafterwards I need to click on Connect. Okay, and the first thing that you need to enter is SQL Server name, and second thing is the SQL database name. Okay, SQL Server name and SQL database name. Your SQL Server name is this one. Okay, so let me just uh, go back to database engine. Let me just copy this and make sure that it is on. Okay, so this is the server name, and then the database name is either one among these, whichever database I want to bring the data from. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll try to bring the data from AdventureWorks 2012. So I'll type it, twenty 12. Okay. and it asks me whether I want to bring the data into Power BI in import mode or direct query mode. I'll discuss what the import mode and direct query mode are, but right now I'll try to bring it in import mode. Okay, I'll just click on OK, and after that, a new window will open wherein the tables which are there in Adventure Works 2012 will be listed. Now, if you see, these are nothing but these tables. Yeah, these are the tables. Okay. Now, among these, I'll choose the table which I want to bring it into Power BI. And if you want to have a kind of a preview onto the table, you can have the preview. See, if you click on any table, it'll give you the preview of that particular table in this window. Okay. So what I want to bring is sales order detail. Maybe let's check sales order header, sales order detail. Yeah. So this is the table I want to bring. I'll just select this table, and once that is done, I'll have two options, either to load the data or to transform the data. Now the thing is that when you click on loading the data will be directly loaded into Power BI desktop. However, if you click on transform data, the data will be loaded in Power Query editor, where, I mean, you might do that because you think that this data needs to be transformed, or this data needs some ETL to be done. If that is the case, you click on transform data, else you directly load the data. So first thing that we'll see is what happens after we load the data. I'll just click on load. Just a second. And now you see the data is being loaded. Okay. So yeah. Now you see that table, you can see in the table view. Okay. So right now we are in the report view, but if you click on the table view, you can see the
Should
data.
we also try this at our end?
Come again.
Should we also try this?
See, once the class is done, I'll be sharing the class files with you. That's not a worry. So right now, just observe.
Okay.
Later, you can work on yourself. Okay. But yeah, in order to do this, you should have SSMS installed in your system. I hope you have it.
No, no. I just installed Power BI yesterday.
Okay, no worries. The thing is, as far as bringing data from any database is concerned, all you need to do is enter the server name and the database name, and it works. Okay. However, if you want to practice this, you can also go on and install the SSMS in your system, and maybe install some database within it so that you can bring the tables from uh, this database in Power into Power BI. Hope that is clear.
Hello, can you
Yes.
please tell how to install this server?
You mean SSMS?
Yes.
Yeah. All you need to do is just a second. I think you need to look for SQL. So, yeah, just a second. SQL. So, yeah. So basically, you need to install the SQL Server database. Okay. And once you do install this, you also need to install the SSMS, SQL Server Management Studio. So, two things you know down. One is SQL Server, and secondly, SQL Server Management Studio, and both of them are available freely from the Microsoft website. So all you need to do is type in the Google SSMS install. I mean, first SQL Server install, and then SSMS install, and choose the 64-bit version. Okay, because nowadays most of the system will be 64-bit versions, so get them installed. It's quite simple. Just, it downloads and just you need to click next, next, next. That's it. There's no code or any serial number that it asks. Okay, so get that installed in your systems. Hope I'm clear on that.
Yes. Today I
Okay.
will try to install this. If anything, any issues, I will connect with you.
Yeah, please go ahead and install it. And if you face any issues, please send the screenshots in the group. I'll see what can be done. Okay. Yeah.
Could you please just import data from Excel? Because I think we all of us have Excel installed. So, and
Yeah.
practice Excel every day. SQL is a tool that I haven't used till now.
Yeah. The thing is, I'll be using Excel files and flat files itself for creating the dashboard. Right now, my intention is to show you guys how to bring the data in the first place. Okay. So that's the thing. So that's the thing. I mean, that's the reason we are learning this. Okay. Because the thing is that in organizations, usually the data comes from one or another database. So that's the reason we need to know how to bring the data from any database. So yeah, that's the sole intention. Uh, need to learn how to bring the data from databases, right? So that's the reason. But yeah, normally, in order to do the dashboards or um, basically creating this whole project, I'll be using the CSV and flat files itself so that I can also share them with you. So that's there's no doubt about it. Hope I'm clear. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I was talking about bringing the data from SQL Server. Now, one more thing to be noted here is that while bringing the data from SQL Server into Power BI, you can also write the queries and filter the data according to how you like. Let me show you what I mean. Okay. Now, here, if I, let's say, run this query here, the table name is sales order detail. Let's say, let us select top 200 rows. Okay. So that I can give you the preview of this table. Okay. So now let's say it basically has sales orders and then order quantity, product ID, any offer, unit price discount. And if you have an overall look into it, it looks like a sales transaction table. As simple as that. Now, let's say you want the data or records within it where the order quantity is greater than or equal to 5. Okay, let me repeat. You only want the records from it where order quantity is greater than equal to 5. Okay, then what would you do in SQL? You write a simple SQL query, right? Select star from this table where order quantity greater than or equal to 5. Now the same thing can be done within Power BI itself. Okay, let me show you how. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll just delete this table because I don't need it. And if you want to delete the table, the simple way is just go to this query pane at the right hand side. There will be queries in the sense tables, and beside the table there will be three dots. Click on the three dots, click on delete from the model, and the table will be gone. Okay. Now again, I'll go back to the home page. I'll go to get data, and again SQL Server. Okay, and then I'll paste that server name, and then the database name is again Adventure Works 2012. Okay, and after that I'll just go to advanced options. Okay, and in here I can actually write the SQL query. Okay, let me show you. I'll write a simple one here. So I'll write select star from sales dot sales order detail. Okay, where table name is, I mean, the column name is order QTY. Yeah, order quantity is greater than or equal to 5. Let's try running this. Okay, and I'll click on OK now, and I'll again directly load it into Power BI Desktop. And now I'll be receiving this table directly. Its name is called query, but I can always rename it. Okay, just double click on the query. Okay, and then rename it according to what you think is appropriate. So I'll name it as sales orders. Okay, that's it. And then let's go ahead and look into the table. Now if you see, the order quantity here is either 5 or greater than 5. Can you see this? And that is due to the fact that we wrote the SQL query and we filtered the data before it came into Power BI. Hopefully this is understood by everyone. Yes
So
or
can
no?
you please explain the query again, the first line of the query? Select star. Why do we write star?
Yeah, I'll just, the star in the sense, it retains all the columns. Okay,
Okay.
so select star statement, I'll just try to explain the query basically. So select star from sales dot sales order detail where order QTY greater than equal to 5 is what I wrote. So what it means is select star in the sense star means retain all the columns, get all the columns
Okay.
from sales dot sales order detail. Now that is the table name. Can you see this? Sales dot sales order detail.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Huh.
And
Retain
then,
all the columns from this table. Okay.
yeah, from this table where order QTY has the value greater than or equal to 5. As simple as that.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Okay. So that's a simple query. However, you can write the complex queries involving joins and I mean multiple joins and even uh, the procedures as well. So with CT statements and many things. I mean, even that will work out pretty fine as far as Power BI is concerned. So hope it is clear how to bring the data from the databases into Power BI. Is it clear?
So it means now we are dealing with only one table, and we are
Hmm.
fetching the data where the order by that order number should
Uh,
be 5 and more than that. So we
uh-huh.
have written the query in that advanced section, correct? And then we get this table.
Exactly. Yeah.
This is what I understood from here.
Yes. That's what we did. That's
If
what we
we
did.
Okay.
import the data from Excel instead of SQL, okay, it's if we import the data, if we select the
Mhm.
option as import from Excel, right?
Mm.
So, do we still have to write the query? I mean,
No. The thing is, you can write the query only if you are bringing the data from databases. Because see, we are bringing the data from SQL Server. SQL Server understands the query. However, if we want to bring the data from Excel sheets or flat files, those softwares or basically those tools, I mean, like the CSVs and flat files or Excel sheets are run into, I mean, those are run usually in Excel, Microsoft Excel. And the Microsoft Excel, it doesn't understand SQL. So you cannot write the queries there. Queries you can write only when you are bringing the data from databases. Hope
so
I'm clear.
how will I import the data where order quantity is greater than equal to 5 from Excel?
You actually cannot. But once you bring the data into Power Query Editor, we can filter that. Okay. So let's go step by step. Anyways, the transformation we are going to learn as far as the Power Query Editor is concerned, where again you can filter out the data. Okay. So there's no worries. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah.
So can we see one example from the Excel sheet?
Yes, yes, we will see. We will look into Excel sheet, CSV as well. Okay, right now, just want to make sure that you have understood this, the way
Yeah,
data.
yeah, it is understood.
Okay, and let's say it's not. Let's say it's not SQL Server. Let's say if it is MySQL, then again you can do the same thing. You can go here and you can search for, let's say, any other DB. Let's say MySQL, okay, database. Again, if you want to connect it, yeah, there is one additional component need to be installed, but yeah, that can be installed, not a problem. But once that is done, you again get the same kind of, let me show you what you will get it. Let's say if I connect to maybe Access database or maybe Oracle DB, if I want to connect it, uh, just a second. Yeah. See, you get to enter the server name, and again in the advanced option, you can write down the SQL statement. Okay, just like in the SQL server case. Okay, you can directly write the SQL query here, mention the server name. Okay, similar thing if you want to connect with, let's say, any other DB as well. Okay, so let's say you want to connect with PostgreSQL data, PostgreSQL, then again the same thing, server name, database name, and if you want, you can write the SQL query. Okay, so this is how to bring the data from the databases. Okay, now let's try to understand how to bring the data from the flat files and Excel workbooks as well. Okay, now let's first look into our data. Okay, so the thing is, I have the data which is stored into this. Okay, so first of all, you need to store the data in some file in your systems. Okay, so let's say I have this data within which the ETL data is stored in this. Okay, so here if you look at this, I have CSV files as well as the Excel sheet. Okay, so first let's try to understand how to bring the Excel sheet. Okay, which is the store cost. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll click on get data and I'll select Excel workbook. Okay, and I'll select that particular uh, folder where the data is there, and this is the store cost Excel sheet. I'll click on open. Okay, and then you will have the tables which are present in that Excel workbook. So currently there's only one table in this particular Excel sheet. If I click on it, I'll get the preview. And if I select this, I'll get the option to either load the data directly into Power BI or go to transform data. So currently what I'll do is I'll load the data. Okay. Now again, if you see, there is this second table which has come store construction costs, which is the data that we got from Excel workbook. Hope this is clear. Any doubts,
Uh,
people?
this data is same data which there in the Excel sheet, right? There is
Yes,
no any change.
it's exactly same. There is no
Okay.
edit or whatever kind. Okay. So let's now get the data from CSV files. Okay. So get data, then text bar CSV. Click on that and see. I can get any data in here. So let's say if I want to get orders 2019 or let's say product details, I'll just click on open. Again, the new window will open wherein I'll have the preview of the data. Okay, and I can select either to load the data or transform the data. Okay, if I load it, it will load it directly into Power BI desktop. If I want to transform it, I can take it to transform editor. Okay, is this clear, people? Any doubt with respect to bringing data into Power BI?
So we are loading the data, so automatically that table name will be populated the right side, right?
Yes. The table name will be the file name, as simple as that. Look, the file name here is the store cost, right? That's what the table name here is. Stores construction costs. Okay.
But then
Um,
my first name was not there because we have queried it, right?
yeah. Look, if you write the query, right, it'll be named as query, as simple as that. If you write the SQL query to retain the data, it'll be named as query. However, that's not a problem since you can just double click on it and change the name as you wish. Clear?
Yes, but just one question. As you
Hmm.
told that we can write the SQL query only for CSV and this DB, right? Not for the Excel and not
Only
for
for
any other.
DB, only for DB, not even for
Only for,
CSV, only
okay,
for databases. Okay.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. So, any further doubts from anyone as far as the bringing of data within Power BI is concerned? People? Okay. Yeah. So, let's discuss the next very important thing, that is the storage modes within Power BI. That is, mainly there are two things. One is import mode and direct query mode. But these are also for the form of data, and I'll explain what these things are: live connection and the composite mode, hybrid mode, or dual mode. Okay. So first let's try to understand these two. Okay. Import mode, within bracket, the vertipack compressor is mentioned. I'll tell you what that is. Okay. So let's try to understand. Okay. Now, uh, I'll just delete everything from the model. Okay. And one thing you need to understand is these options to choose you will be having only if you are bringing the data from databases or cloud. Okay. However, if you are bringing CSV files or flat files, by default, import mode will be used. Okay. If you are using Excel files or CSV flat files, you cannot use direct query or live connection or dual mode. The only thing that you can use is import mode. Hope I'm clear with that. Okay. Now let's understand what is import mode and direct query mode. Okay. So for that, what I'll do, I'll get the data from, again, the SQL server. Okay. And then we'll mention this adventure works 2012. Okay. And first, let's bring one table from the import mode. Okay. Or maybe, yeah, import mode. So I'll just click on OK, and I'll bring any table, maybe sales human resources dot employee. Let's try bringing that. Okay, so I'll load that. Now look, here the thing is that once you bring that table into Power BI desktop and within import mode, now you can see if you hover over this query here, query name here, it says the table name and its storage mode is import, and the data is refreshed right now. Okay. So, what is meant by import mode? Import mode is when the data actually comes into Power BI desktop software. Okay. See, where the data originally exists, this data, the primary sources, anyone?
Excel sheet. Equal.
SQL, right? See, the I'm talking about this particular table, that is human resource employee, okay? And it was nothing but this table, right? Human resource employee. The original source of this data is SQL. Can we agree upon that, right? Now, the thing is, when you bring the data into Power BI from import mode, that table actually comes into Power BI, and that table gets compressed to certain extent. And when I say compressed, its records will not be gone. Compress in the sense the memory will be a bit compressed. Okay, it will be having all the records, all the columns, but on in terms of memory constraints, it the data will be compressed a bit, and the thing that does this compression is called as Vertipack compressor engine. Okay, so basically in import mode we get the data into Power BI, and it gets compressed via this engine called as Vertipack compressor engine, which is there within Power BI desktop. Okay, and the
compressed
thing is,
as in compressed as in some of the compressed data as in some of the columns that the original data had. I mean, compressed as in it will not have the same number of columns. Compressed in what sense?
compressed in the sense that in SQL Server, let's say this takes somewhere around 500 MB to get stored. In Power BI, it'll be taking somewhere around 300 to 400 MB to get stored. As simple as that. No
Okay, all right.
columns will be gone, no
Okay.
records will be gone. Okay, it will be as original. Okay, but only the memory will be reduced. Okay, yeah, that's the only thing. Clear on that?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, the main thing to be noticed here is that, okay, so now that the data is in Power BI, until, and let's say, if in the backend, okay, let's say in the backend, if you delete this table, okay, if you, let's say, delete this table from SQL Server, okay, then in the front end, that is in Power BI, nothing will happen until you refresh it. Am I clear on this? Because if you click on refresh, then what is going to happen? This table will be reloaded once again from which source? Yes, SQL Server, right? But if we delete this table from SQL Server, the thing is that it won't be there. And if it won't be there, then it won't be coming again in Power BI as well. So the data here also will be broken. Is this clear what I'm talking about?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So the thing to be noticed here is that once you bring the data from any database into Power BI in import mode, the data gets stored in Power BI, and no matter what, I mean, no matter what you do in the back end, nothing will happen in the front end until and unless you press the refresh button. Let's say if you change the data structure, let's say if you remove certain columns from this table from the back end, okay, those will still be showing up here in Power BI, but when they will not show up? When you click on refresh button. Okay. Once you click on refresh button, the table will be reloaded from the backend, and then those deleted columns will not be showing up even in the front end. Is this concept clear, people? Very important to be understood.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Now, let's look into the second mode, that is the direct query mode. Okay. So I'll just get the Power BI desktop new instance open. Okay. And I'll just click on blank report. And after that, I'll just go to get data, SQL Server. Where is it? Yeah. And again, the server name and Adventure Works 2012. Okay. And now what I'll do, I'll bring the data in direct query mode. Okay. So look, instead of import mode, I'm choosing direct query. Click on OK. Again, let's say I bring the same table, that is human resource dot employee. Or what was it? Which table was it? Human resources dot employee. Let's bring the same table. Human resources dot employee. Okay. Uh, Seems a bit different table. Let me check. Yeah, I think it's this one. Yeah, yeah. I'll just load it into Power BI Desktop. Okay. And now you can see one clear-cut difference between this window and the previous window. Can you tell me what is that? This is the import mode, and this is the direct query mode. Any difference are you able to see? Yes? Nothing? Look, in import mode, that is this window, we have still these three views. The report view is there, the table view is there, the model view is there. Then, as far as this is concerned, can you see? We are missing onto something here. What is that? Yeah? Can you see the table view in here? No, right? There's no table view. As far as here, the table view is there, you can actually view the table. But that is missing when you look into direct query. Okay, so one thing that you need to always understand is that once you connect the data from direct query to Power BI, you cannot see the table, or basically you cannot see the table's view in Power BI Desktop. Okay, now coming to the main difference. Okay, in direct query, the thing that happens is that the table actually doesn't come into Power BI. Okay, the thing is that the table is stored still within backend only. It has not been imported into Power BI. Only thing is that there is a connection between the backend and front end. Okay, only there is a connection between the backend and front end. What I mean is this data which you are actually, this table which you are seeing here still exists in SQL itself. You are only able to see it in Power BI because there is some connection from Power BI to SQL here due to direct query. And let's say in direct query, if you delete or do any alteration of that table in the backend, okay, that will happen or that will reflect immediately in the front end. Am I clear on that? You need not even press the refresh button. If you delete the
Can
table
you
from
please
the backend,
explain the last few lines, like from direct query again?
mm, last
Like
few lines.
I've understood that when you import the data from direct query, we don't have an
Mm,
option of viewing it in table view, as in the case
mm,
of import mode.
mm,
After that, I mean, you don't have to press the like after that. Can you please just
mm.
explain what you
Exactly.
said?
I got what needs to be explained. Yeah. See, what I'm trying to say is this is the import mode. Okay. And import mode, the data, or let's presume the table comes from SQL and it gets stored in Power BI. And I also told you that it gets compressed a bit by Vertipack compressor engine. Okay, and currently this data which you're seeing, it is stored in Power BI itself. Okay, now let's come to the second thing, that is direct query. In direct query, even if you bring the table from SQL Server via direct query, the table is not coming actually into Power BI desktop software. Okay, the table is still in SQL Server itself. All you have here is the connection from Power BI to SQL. Okay, this is just a view of the table which is there in SQL. As simple as that. The table is not actually inside Power BI. Okay, if the SQL Server connection is gone, then this also will be gone. As simple as that. Or let's say in the backend, if they remove some columns, if they delete this table, it'll be gone from front end as well. You need not even wait until pressing the refresh button like this. Am I clear on that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So this is the primary difference between the direct query and the import mode. Now, you might be having the question, why do we even need two separate modes? Now, you might think that in import mode, we are even able to see the table view. Then why do we need direct query in the first place, where you can't even see the table preview and yeah, you can't even store the data inside Power BI? Then why do we need that? The reason is Microsoft, what they mention is, if the amount of data is huge, and when I say the amount of data is huge, what I mean is, let's say if you're dealing with a table which has, let's say, 100 million records, okay, millions or billions of records, then what Microsoft they suggest is, instead of using or instead of importing all of that into Power BI, what they say is, let's keep your data in the backend itself, whereas in Power BI, let's just have a connection with the backend, and that is called as direct query. Okay, and what they say, what Microsoft say is, by using direct query method instead, you'll be able to make your data, or basically your data model will be a bit faster compared to when the data is in Power BI itself, as far as dealing with huge data sets is concerned. Okay, but however, nowadays the thing is, there are different licensing options in Power BI. So currently, let's say if you have premium per user access, you can store data up to 10 GB in Power BI desktop itself. So right now that also is not a worry. All you need to have is the systems with higher RAMs, so that you can operate the Power BI desktops quite comfortably, no matter what the size of data is. Am I clear on this? Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So this is what the main difference between the import mode and direct query is. And yeah, in direct query, you cannot even see the table by yourself. All you can do is you can view it here, and you can view it here in the data model view. That's it. Okay. And let's try to understand the difference between direct query mode and import mode in a bit of detail. Okay. Now look, I'll discuss some of the very important things. Okay. So the first thing is that, as far as the size of the data that can be brought into Power BI, currently import mode, it supports data up to 10 GB for data set. And now if you have premium per capacity, you can even bring the data up till 100 GB also. That's not a problem. But however, for that to happen, your system should be having very higher RAM and also the processing capabilities. As far as the size of the data that can be brought into direct query mode, there's no such limitation. Okay. Then As far as data source support is concerned, you can import the data from multiple sources. Okay. However, while using the direct query mode, your data must come from one single source. Okay, and that too will be a DB. In direct query mode, the data will never come from CSV or flat files. It must come from DB, and that too one single source. Okay. Then, as far as performance is concerned, now this is where it becomes very interesting. Okay, as far as performance of your data model is concerned, this performance will be very high. The performance of the import mode will be high, whereas the performance of your PBI model, Power BI model, when you're using the direct query, it largely depends on how fast your backend server is, okay, and how the queries are executed, what time the queries are executed in real time. Okay, so whenever you click on any table, let's say if I click on any table and if I wish to bring anything from this table onto, let's say, certain visual. Okay, let's say if I want to bring this onto here. Now can you see it's taking a bit of time? Saw that? Yes. Now let's say if I bring this. Okay, but the thing is, if the same thing if I do here, okay, let's say I bring some table, and if let's see if I bring the birth date, it came quite directly. The reason for that is here in import mode, the data, this data is coming from Power BI itself, which is stored in Power BI. However, in direct query mode, this data is coming from where? Yes, answers, people? Anyone?
SQL.
SQL. Okay, so it will take time. Your visuals will take time to get loaded. Okay, so that's the reason the performance of the query will be higher in import mode, not in this mode. Okay, then there's also yeah, just a second. I don't know why this is not showing up. Okay. Mm, okay. Now that's one main thing. Okay. Then one more thing is, as far as usage of the DAX is concerned, okay, DAX stands for Data Analysis Expressions, and the DAX is the coding language as far as front end of Power BI is concerned, and DAX is the coding language through which you can create calculated columns and calculated measures. And DAX language comes with some of the functions of its own. Okay, there'll be various functions like simple mathematical functions, uh, complex functions involving the expressions, conditional statements, functions involving dates and times, functions involving text-based manipulations. Okay, everything. So the thing is that when you are bringing the data from import mode, you can make 100% utilization of the DAX functions. Okay. Whereas if you are bringing the data from direct query mode into Power BI, some of the DAX functions cannot be used. The time intelligence DAX functions cannot be used. Okay. And that is one of the big disadvantage. Okay. So even though Microsoft, they themselves suggest to use direct query mode whenever we are handling the large data set, the problem with that is we cannot make 100% usage of the available DAX functions, and which actually limits the amount of customization that can be performed within the Power BI desktop. So that is one of the big disadvantages.
Which
Okay.
functions did you just refer to? DAX functions?
Yes, DAX functions.
Is it written somewhere here in the Power BI?
Uh, See, the DAX functions is what we write in order to no, I'll not say manipulate, in order to condition the data. Let me show you a dashboard, okay, where I think we wrote some DAX, okay. So let me show you how the DAX formulas are. I know we are getting ahead of ourselves, but just since you asked it. Okay. Now, if you see, there's a table which I made here called all measures, and within that there are various DAX functions. Okay, so let's open a simple function, that is total movies. Now you see, this is the DAX function I'm referring to. Total movies is count rows of the table film. This is one of the DAX function. Let's say previous year revenue. This also is one of the DAX function. These are the DAX functions. We need to write the functions. Okay. Hope it is clear.
Learn these DAX functions in this Power BI course, right? How to write.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So these are the main differences as far as the direct query mode and import mode is concerned. Now, next thing, what is live connection then? Okay. See, live connection is the direct query mode itself. Only difference is that the data coming into live connection mode would be of cube form. Now you might ask me, what does the cube form of data mean? See, usually the thing is that the cube form of data is what comes from some of the tools like uh, Azure analysis services, and sometimes SQL Server analysis services as well, SSAS. Okay, and let me just give you a preview of how that kind of data looks like. Okay, so I'm going ahead of myself, but need to show you what the cube form of data looks like. And yeah, this is what it looks like. Now here, this is just one OLAP cube is what we can call it. Okay, OLAP stands for Online Analysis Processing System. Don't think about that right now, but this is what the cube form of data looks like. Let me explain this a bit to you. Now, you see, there are three axes here. One is x-axis, one is y-axis, and one is z-axis, and you have the different cubes. Okay, I'll tell you the significance of each and every cube here. Okay, now let's say we have the values in y-axis, we have the values in x-axis as well. Y-axis, what kind of values we have? Can you tell me what these are basically? Yes, the type of product being sold are what have been listed in y-axis, right? And what is this? What's there in z-axis? Can anyone tell me?
Time period.
Yes,
Month,
timeline. Okay,
month.
basically timeline, month, year. Okay, or year, month, basically. Year, month, year, month. Okay. Now let's say on x-axis, we have certain measures. And when I say measures, I mean things like total sales. Total, let's say this is total sales. And let's say this is total profit. Let's say this is total returns from the customers. Let's say this is total number of employees, okay, and employee salaries as well. Now let's say if this is total sales, let's say this is total sales, then what this cube will represent? Can anyone tell me? If this is total sales, then what this cube will represent? Nobody has any clue?
Total sales for the components.
Mm-hmm. Correct?
In
For
2015 January. No.
Correct.
Yeah.
Total sales for components in 2015 January. Now let's say this is total profit. Okay, let's say this is total profit. then what would this cube represent? Yeah.
Total
Total
profit
uh,
by sale of clothes in the
Mhm.
month of February 2015.
No, it's still Jan. Can you see this? It's Jan itself.
Okay, okay,
If it
yes,
belongs to this set of cubes,
yes,
then it will be February. Here it's Jan. Okay. So this is what the cube form of data it looks like. I think you have got a basic idea now what it looks like. Yeah. We
yes.
can call it the 3D form of data. Okay. So yeah, let's get back to what we were discussing. Actually, we are ahead of, I mean, we have crossed 8 a.m., but I'll just try to finish it within 1 minute. Okay, not a problem. So yeah, we are here. Okay. So the only difference between the direct query and live connection is that in live connection, the data comes in cube form. Okay. So that's the thing. And the third and final thing, the dual mode, composite mode, or hybrid mode is when in your Power BI desktop, let's say some table they come in direct query mode and some table if they come in import mode, then such a model is what we call dual mode model or composite model or hybrid model. Okay, is that clear, people?
Yes.
I have few questions. If I
Yeah.
mean, if time is allowed, I can ask now. Otherwise, I will
Yeah,
ask.
please go ahead and ask. Not a problem. Yeah.
Uh, in which real examples we are going to use this dual and cube form?
Come again.
Like
Yeah.
I cannot segregate the scenarios. In which scenarios we have to use this dual? In which scenario we have to use cube form? Like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah. Cube form. Okay. Cube form of the data we use only if the data is coming from some systems like Azure Analysis. Actually, in that case, that data, that sort of data is what is called as Azure Data Bricks. I'm not sure whether you people might have heard about it, but it's called as Azure Data Bricks. Okay. So I'm not saying that you will come across the scenarios will be you will where you will be regularly using it. Regularly, you will be using the data from any database systems, and most of the times you will be working on the import mode itself. Okay, you'll be working on live connection or the composite mode or direct query in very rare cases. Okay, most of the projects they happen in import mode itself. Okay, so that's the thing. And as far as the dual mode is concerned or hybrid mode is concerned, although Microsoft they provide this kind of mode, but again, if you bring some data in direct query mode and some data in import mode, the data which comes from direct query mode, it's, I mean, the visuals corresponding to that will work a bit slow compared to when the data is coming from import mode. And again, there'll be lots of complexities in that because your Power BI model will not be as faster. However, if usage of import mode cannot be done at all, I mean, let's say if you have billions and billions of records and it even crosses 100 GBs or maybe more than 50 GB or something, then you can use some things among this. But usually, more than 90% of the time, the projects, as far as the organizations is concerned, they happen within import mode itself. Am I clear on that?
I just have to make a very small request.
Mhm.
Since I don't have SQL installed in my laptop, and I think I'm more comfortable with Excel also. So because we have to also practice, what you teach every day. So
Mhm.
I just wanted to ask you and make a small request also, if you could do with Excel in the subsequent classes, so that we and share that file with us, so that even we can practice at our end.
See, I have mentioned it earlier. After the classes, the files will be shared with you, and all the files are either CSV flat files or Excel files only. Okay, I'm not sharing the database files with you because I know it's not feasible. So, uh, believe me, those files are Excel files and CSV files itself. Okay,
And we can practice from them, right?
yeah, you can practice them. See, I'll just tell you what I will be sharing with you people. Look here. After any class, okay, let's say after, let's say, fourth or fifth class or eighth class, okay, you'll be having the class file, or basically uh, this will be the file where we'll be performing the classwork, basically, okay, the concepts, and then that I'll be sharing with you. And after that, there'll be also a file called as assignment file, okay. And if you open this assignment, you'll be having certain questions where you need to uh, perform certain operations within the file, Power BI, okay. And if you get confused, you'll be having one more PBI file called as assignment solution, where you can look into the solution and you can work it out. Okay. And along with that, if you see, I have shared the even the PPT as well. And along with that, I have the CSV and flat files, everything I'm sharing with you guys. Okay. So this is how the course works. Hope I'm clear on this.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Fine, then I think we can continue the rest in the next classes. Any more doubts from anyone as far as this class is concerned? Okay, fine then. I think we can meet again tomorrow for next class. I'll stop the recording